Right. We're going to do a video about my experience of the Everest Base Camp trek. As many know, I went to Everest over Easter. I don't know why I put this jumper on because I'm bloody hot. Yeah, I went to Everest. When was it? I think it was the 30th of March. I flew to Kathmandu through Istanbul, which I've been to Istanbul before, so it wasn't too bad. But I mean, that airport is huge. It was absolutely huge. I was connecting through there, and to be fair, this is the first time I haven't had a problem with a connecting flight, so I was quite pleased. But like before this, I did 8 weeks of training. I think it was an alright amount of training to do. Maybe I could have done a bit more, like over like a few more weeks, but like when I decided to do the base camp trek, it was kind of like, I won't say a last minute thing, because I did train, and like I went and I had high altitude training as well. Basically high altitude training, they put you in, like they give you an oxygen mask and they reduce the amount of oxygen, and you walk on a treadmill and your body like it makes adaptations to be prepared for like a higher altitude and lower oxygen. So I did that in London for, it was like 10 days before like I went, and I was going up and down London at the same time as being at uni, and it was an absolute nightmare, but it was quite funny at the same time. So yeah, flew to Nepal, arrived in Kathmandu. Oh my god. Kathmandu airport, bloody hell. I have never, it was chaos, absolute chaos. And like the amount of things you had to go through to get to the baggage claim, and then you had to get your eSIM, and it was just hilarious. The place was absolutely hilarious. I had to get my visa sorted. I mean, I'd done it online. So take that advice. If you're going to do Everest Base Camp trek, or you're going to Nepal, do your visa first. Apply for it online. You don't have to go to the embassy in London, because it says that on the website. You don't have to do that. Just do it online, pay for it online, and then it comes through. Actually, who did I use? Flip. When I remember, I will tell you, it was some sort of like agency thing that sorted it for me, and processed my visa. I have a message. But yeah, I did that, and to be fair, it was easy sorted once it was there. Got my taxi to my hotel. I mean, it was wild. The place was wild. You know, I've been to Bangkok, and Bangkok's quite something, to be honest. It's something to behold. Very, very interesting place. But Kathmandu, there's just things happening. There's just things there. Absolutely hilarious. And I mean, I met my group. Everybody in the group is so nice, honestly. Really, really nice. Shout out to the Everest Base Camp trek group. Oh god, it was so fun. Like, and we had our like welcome dinner, and it was, I don't know where we walked down somewhere, and it was really, really busy, and like there was like smog in the air, like it was like quite thick. There was a lot of pollution, but it was quite interesting. And we were told that our flight we were going to get like a small aircraft to Lukla the day after, and they'd given us these little bags to put all of our luggage in, because you get like 10 kilograms worth of like baggage, and they're given to the porters on the base camp trek. So yeah, after that we got up at like, I think it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30. We got the bus back to Kathmandu airport to get our flight to Lukla. Everything was really weird. Like it wasn't like a normal airport like style. Everything was chaos. It was like a domestic departures in Kathmandu, and it was just so, I don't know, it was the lack of organisation was quite amusing. And we were waiting for our flight, but like this was getting over the time the flight was already meant to leave, and we were all just kind of sat there like, there was no like sense of urgency. We were all like, is the flight still here? What are we doing? Like, have we missed it? But no, we hadn't. We then got called to the gate. It was really weird. Like, the atmosphere in that departure lounge was just so weird, because there was like people who were starting their like proper trips to Everest, like going up Everest. They had their like big La Sportiva boots on and all this stuff, and I was like, oh my god, like they got the top of Everest. And we were like, we got this bus out to the plane, right? And the bus went round 3 times, round the airfield, coming back to pick up luggage. And then we get to the plane, and it was like, there was the pilot was looking on this live stream of Lukla Airport to check the weather. And it was like, yes, we're flying. No, we're not flying. Yes, we're flying. No, we're not flying. And eventually it was decided, no, we're not flying today because the weather conditions had got too bad. And the way Lukla Airport is, it's like tiny little runway off the side of a mountain. So you can't mess about. Can't mess about. So yeah, our flight got cancelled and we were sent back to the terminal. And we were just kind of sat there waiting. It was like, oh well, our guide was, it was very helpful. He says, well, we're going to see what happens. We're going to wait for a bit. And if, like, we can fly, we'll fly. If not, we'll think of an alternative. Eventually, it was like, I don't know. We've been waiting there a couple of hours. And it was clear that there was no flights going to go to Lukla anymore that day. So our guide comes back and he's like, right, we're going to get on a bus for 6 hours. I think it was about 6 hours to, I think, Ramchap. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that wrong. It sounds like Ramchap. Somewhere else in Nepal. It's like east, closer to the kind of Everest range. That was, oh my god. And we were like, we were in this bus going down this road. I mean, some of the roads had been swept away, I think. There'd been like some really heavy rain, and it was so whimsical. It was just like, I've never. And we stopped at the side of the road and had momo. Oh, that momo was great. The momo soup. Oh, I don't know how to, like, I don't know where in the world this momo soup was, but you need to try this momo soup. It was great. And I had these wraps as well. Oh, sublime. We eventually got to Ramchap. I still actually don't know where it is in the world, but yeah, we stayed in this hotel. It was really quite some experience. Quite basic. But still, I don't know. I struggled to sleep that night because I was nervous because I was like, what if we don't ever get there? Like, what if our flight doesn't leave ever? Like, and we'd have to get a helicopter, but what if we can't do that? And I remember the itinerary said, I think, or the alternative was like the Annapurna base camp trek. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that one. I wanted to do the Everest base camp. And I was like panicking. And I was like up all night, and I had to be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was just like, I was stressed. I was so stressed. And I was jet lagged. So it didn't really help. But yeah, eventually we were meant to be getting like a bus to the airport, and he was like, nope, we're gonna walk. So we started walking down this little road to go to the airport. It was even smaller than Kathmandu domestic terminal. It was tiny. So this tiny little building. We were just sat there waiting, and honestly, it was so funny. It was so funny. Like, the people on my trip, absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious individuals. Whoops. Absolutely hilarious individuals. I have never, honestly, there's so many like-minded people on this trip. It was so funny. And we were just like going through the motions. It's just random things happening. And eventually they were like, they said to us that we were going to be the first flight out. We weren't. We were, I think, about the 3rd or 4th flight out that day. Flight went, And I mean, being in that tiny little aircraft, it was so funny, and you could feel every bump. Like, you could literally, it was such a unique thing, and like the propellers like like so funny. But as we were going like up and stuff, it like proper tilted up, and you could see like the mountains starting to come in, and I was like, oh my god, it was so exciting. Like, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know whether we saw Everest. Some people are like, yeah, there's Everest, but I'm not 100% sure. Then we landed in Lukla. That was an experience. That'll be the only time I landed in Lukla on the plane, so I was meant to get the flight back, but we'll get to that. Yeah, got to Lukla, and like immediately, like as soon as I got off the plane, I felt the altitude, like straight away. Like I tried to breathe in, and I tried to walk up the stairs really quickly, and I was like, oh, like I felt the difference. Even though like it wasn't like extremely high altitude, it's like I think Lukla is about 2,600 meters elevation, I think. It's still, we're kind of getting into the 3,000s, so it's starting to have an effect. But as we know, I'm quite susceptible to altitude, and yeah, I was definitely feeling it. And yeah, then we had our breakfast and stuff. Yeah, don't carry too much water is what I'm going to say, because you stop at tea houses, you stop at places to buy water. Never carry more than about 1.5 litres. That's one of the big mistakes that I made, is my pack was too heavy most days, and it made me struggle, especially on the second day at Namche. That was really quite something. But our first night we stayed at Pakting. It's about, I think, 2,800 meters elevation, something like that. It was really nice, to be fair. It was kind of in the woodlands, and you could hear like the little, I think they're little horses. Are they horses? Are they donkeys? One of the two. And it was just so cute. Like, they were walking up and hear people talking, but then you could just hear silence. And yeah, I had my first shower. It was, I would say, lukewarm at best. But there was a window, and the breeze, the Himalayan wind that was coming through that window was I have never, it was freezing. And like, what I found really surprising, like, is the shift in temperature all of a sudden. Like, from as soon as it starts to get dark, and then when it's dark, that change is like straight away it's freezing cold. And I have never felt cold like it. Like, when I was in Pakting, I was like, wow, that is cold. And I started to get a bit concerned, because I was like, well, we're going to go even further up. It's going to get even colder. And bear in mind, this tea house was nice. Like, it was good stone walls. Good walls on them. Which is important further on in this story. The next day we walked up to Namche Bazaar, which is 3,500 meters. I could be wrong. 3,500 meters. That was a hard day. I struggled. And as everyone on the Everest Base Camp trek will get this reference, the stairs. And every time the guide said, jam. No, I could not jam anymore. Jam meant it was time to go, and we had to keep walking. I was struggling with jam. I'm struggling. I really didn't like those stairs, because once you get past the Hillary Bridge, like, you go over the Hillary Bridge, and there's just stairs after stairs after stairs after stairs. I was struggling. I was pleased to get to Namche, and I was feeling pretty good. Starting to feel a little bit of the altitude. Like, if I overexerted myself, I would really feel it, like, immediately. But it was just getting used to that. And we had a couple of days there. We did an acclimatization hike. We went up to this, we saw Everest for the first time, and it was the only time I saw Everest. It was the best thing I've ever seen. I'm obsessed with Everest, and I've seen it, like, with my own eyes. To see that with my own eyes, nothing compares to that. It is, yeah, it was worth every penny. It was worth every penny just to see that bit of Everest and have my picture taken with that bit of Everest. It was, yeah, it was a special time for me. Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah. Anyway, I then went to, we went to, what's it called? Sagarmatha next. So Everest is called a few things, and one of them is Sagarmatha. And Sagarmatha next is, I think it's like a project for like reducing waste on Everest. I compared it to a National Trust centre. Like, there was a gift shop that was very overpriced. I mean, it was nice. It was lovely. It was very high-end, nice place. And they had, like, virtual reality things so you could see the top of Everest. And, like, you could experience going up above Everest Base Camp. And I thought that was very nice. Like, you know. But, yeah, it was expensive. And then after that, we came back and I had a lovely massage. I had a lovely massage in Namche Bazaar from this lovely lady. I really needed it. My calves were absolutely like, oof. They were burning after that day. They were burning. And then, where did we go after that? We went from Namche to, I can't remember the name of it. Portsea. We went to Portsea. We walked up there. And that was like the first day we went above 4,000 metres. To be fair, it was a lovely hike. We saw like Tingboch in the Tingboch monastery from like the other side of the like valley. And oh my god, that was pretty. It was so pretty. And there was like bits from the Everest film that we were walking past. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. I was being a nerd and I was pointing out all the different mountains to everyone. I was like, oh my god, I was in my element. It was great. We stopped for lunch. That was nice. But we had to go like up above 4,000 metres and then back down into the valley to come all the way back up to Portsea. And yeah, that was quite challenging, not gonna lie. Like, if you go in the Everest Base Camp, you got to be prepared for the amount of walking. I mean, the amount of walking wearing a pack at that altitude, is hard. And remember to drink water. You got to drink like at least 3 litres. I don't think I drank enough, which may be where my problem started. And a few people will know I like to have a full fat Coke for my breakfast when I was in the Everest Base Camp, which probably did me no good at all, but it definitely did me no good at all. But yeah, I felt like it helped to give me a bit of a sugar boost. Anyway, we got to Portsea, which was 3,900 metres, I think. It was, Portsea was a time. I would say, well, I described it as a plywood box. The walls were very thin. There was a hole in my ceiling. It was very, very cold. Very, very cold in that room. I could see my breath, and it was cold. It was pretty cold. But to be fair, like, the night I had in there was okay. Like, I was warm once I was in my sleeping bag. Like, it was fine. I had my dinner. My stomach was starting to get... I'm not going to go too much into that, but my stomach wasn't great. And I think everybody was starting to succumb to this issue. Yeah. Everyone's gastric system started to go downhill after that. Day after, we then went to Dingboche, or Dingboch. I call it Dingboch, but I think it's Dingboche. It's 4,400 metres elevation. And I usually suffer from altitude sickness above 4,000 metres. Although I recently did Toubkal and didn't suffer from altitude sickness above 4,000, so I'm pleased. But yeah, I was really feeling it. Like, when we got to Dingboch, I was like, I was struggling. But I felt okay. Like, I felt well in myself. And all that evening I was okay. Like, I had my dinner. I was all right. And then, like, I went to bed. And I don't know. Like, it's all like a blur from there. Like, I don't really remember what happened. Like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was just like, I felt like I couldn't get any air in my lungs. And I was like, like I would try to breathe and I felt like there was no air, and I was really confused, and like I like didn't know where I was. I felt really hot, but I was like really cold at the same time. That I have never actually been so cold in my life as that room in Dingboche. It was beyond cold. It was beyond cold. There was frost on the inside of the window. It was that cold. It was freezing. So everyone, Everest Base Camp, make sure you have a good sleeping bag. I was told multiple times, over and over again, is your sleeping bag warm enough? No, it wasn't warm enough. I'm going to tell you that now. It wasn't a 4 seasons, it was a 3 seasons, and it was bad. It was freezing. I had so many layers on and I was freezing cold. I never want to experience anything like that ever again. So cold. But yeah, that night I woke up and I just felt really sick. I had like my stomach was bad. I'm not going to go into detail, but I think you can guess. It was bad. Things were going downhill. And in the morning, I got in touch with my guide and I was like, I think I've got altitude sickness. Like I really didn't feel very well. Came up to my room, gave me some electrolytes, and I started to feel a bit better. So I was like, right, okay, I'll do the acclimatization hike. So we went up, like we saw the valley where you kind of go up past the Khumbu Icefall to Everest Base Camp, and the higher villages up there, like I think it's Labuche and then Gorak is kind of that bit that you start walking along. We went up to about 4,800 meters, and the view from there was so, like, honestly, it was the best thing I've ever seen. And you see Amadablam, which was like right in front. It was so pretty, and our guide was like pointing out all the mountains. It was really sweet. But after that, like on my way back down from there, I couldn't move. I was like struggling to move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move, and like I knew from then, I was like, I've given everything I had. And I got back down to the tea house, and it was like lunchtime. I was trying to eat this like beans on toast. I couldn't get it. I literally couldn't, like, even thinking about it still makes me feel quite sick. Like I felt so unwell, like my head was banging, my chest was really tight, and I felt really sick, and I didn't feel myself at all. It was horrible. And everyone else was like, oh, we'll go to this cafe that's down at the bottom of Dingboche and it's warm, because this tea house was cold. I went upstairs and I just like kind of laid in my bed because I felt so ill, and I remember I phoned my mum and I says to her, I was like, I'm not doing well. And I think at that point I decided, like, I can't walk anymore. I can't, like, this is where my limit is. Dingboche and going up to that acclimatization of like 4,800 meters, that was my limit. I couldn't do anymore. Physically couldn't manage anymore. And it just went downhill so quickly from there. Like in that afternoon, I just felt so much worse and like literally couldn't lift my feet up off the floor. It got to about dinner time, like 7 o'clock, went down into like the communal area of the tea house, and I was sat next to the fire, and I was getting really dizzy and stuff like that. And our guide was just like, no, you need to go to the clinic. It's the last clinic before Everest Base Camp, basically. It's the highest clinic on the trek. So I was very lucky that I was there. I was taken to the clinic. I was given some meds. I've never felt so ill in my life. And then I was sent, they said to me, you need medical evacuation. So they arranged a helicopter, but they said to me that they wouldn't be able to get a helicopter until tomorrow morning, at like 6 a.m. or something like that. And that was scary, because like I had altitude sickness, and altitude sickness can go downhill very quickly, and I was freaking out. Like I knew that. But to be fair, the doctor, he was absolutely lovely. He was so nice, and you know, I owe that doctor a lot, I think. He was so sweet, and he got my helicopter sorted, looked after me all night in this tiny little clinic. And I remember the room where it had like clouds on the walls and stuff. I don't know, it was quite sweet. Anyway, I got stretchered to the helipad. It wasn't a helipad, it's like a kind of patch of gravel. And they took me back to Lukla in the helicopter. That was amazing. Like, being in a helicopter, what an experience that was. That was really quite something. And I waited in Lukla for a little bit while I think they took the helicopter back up to Everest base camp, dropped some things off and brought it back. And then I got in the helicopter to Kathmandu. And when I got to Kathmandu, like, we landed on the airfield, there was an ambulance waiting, and it felt like gravity had just completely taken over and I couldn't move my body, and I just collapsed onto the floor, like, on the airfield, like, where they were getting this stretcher in. I was like, I couldn't move. I could not move. And, I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. I feel like I haven't actually, like, processed it yet. Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. But yeah, I got to the hospital and I was quite unwell. Like, I had really bad altitude sickness and I'd had some seizures in relation to the altitude sickness, and yeah, things weren't great, and I was not good. I was not doing good. But a week after I got discharged from the intensive care of Kathmandu, one of the Kathmandu hospitals, I was in a lot of pain though. But it was nice because I managed to have my, like, final meal with the group when they came back from the base camp trek. And I don't know, it was really nice to kind of see them all before I went back home. My mum had to come to pick me up. She came on a rescue mission to Kathmandu. Very good job. And then, yeah, we flew back through New Delhi. That's another story for another day. It was amusing. And yeah, then we got back to, I think we flew into London Heathrow. Yeah, London Heathrow. But, like, coming back from that, I mean, it was quite an experience. Flip. I mean, it was hard to get used to, and I think over the last month I'm still trying to get used to it, to be honest. But I mean, it was an absolutely amazing thing. Like, I will never do anything like that ever again. It was great. Like, it was a once in a lifetime kind of thing. It's scary though. It's scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's scary, but it's amazing. Like, I would definitely, if I had the opportunity, I would do it again. But I mean, not with the altitude sickness. But I need to show you this as well while I'm on. This is my little my fridge magnet from Everest. It was very cute. Oh, also, this is what they put on your bag when you're going on one of their little light aircraft, Summit Air Wings of Everest. How cute is that? I just thought I should show you that. But yes, that was my experience of the Everest Base Camp trek. I hope you enjoyed the story. There will be more to follow, guys. I'm just giving you the basics right now, but yes.